On first glance, it appears to be part hockey, part golf, and part beating the daylights out of a ball with a stick. And it's a game that's been played for generations in the North African nation of Algeria. Its name is Takor, and it's very likely I mispronounced that. It's played by modern-day Berber tribes. The sticks are wooden, the ball is wooden, and the fields can be hundreds of yards long. Players are allowed to catch and throw the ball, and while they're not supposed to hit each other, they are allowed to hit each other's sticks. Takor is only played 7 times a year during the spring months. A local historian says it helps villagers welcome the arrival of the season, and players say it's also been used as a way to settle disputes. Instead of fighting, they reportedly play Takor in a spirit of brotherhood. Their hope is that the next generation will practice and play the game with their families. Of stateside stories are where we shine the spotlight next on the world from A to Z. I'm Carl Azuz. Means the world to have you watching. In the U.S. state of Iowa, a tornado outbreak on Tuesday caused extensive damage and claimed multiple lives. We don't know yet how many. One of several communities affected was the city of Greenfield, which was hit by an EF3 twister. Its estimated wind speeds were more than 135 miles per hour. One resident of this city of around 2,000 people says they've come together to work, support, and encourage one another.
That's the tornado you're seeing on the ground, folks. It's a pretty violent-looking one.
Violent and powerful, carving a deadly and devastating path through the small city of Greenfield, Iowa.
I heard like a train, and then insulation came from the basement, and I knew it was hitting.
As many survivors take stock of what's left, the loss for some families is even greater.
Sadly, we can confirm that there have been fatalities with this tornado.
While search and rescue efforts continue, officials are hesitant to release a death toll, given the massive impact area.
We wouldn't want to give out a wrong number, and we're still assessing.
The governor says a local hospital is one of the buildings damaged. An area school and a lumber yard are now among the sites being used as improvised medical staging areas. And volunteers, in some cases, transporting the injured.
Everybody became little makeshift ambulances. We pulled a guy from the rubble and put him on a little makeshift stretcher that we made, threw him in the back of a truck.
The governor has issued a disaster proclamation for 15 counties and will apply for federal assistance.
We will be putting forth an expedited presidential declaration. We're hoping by no later than tomorrow.
We're a small community. We're a tough community. We will rebuild this community together.
A massive container ship that destroyed an American bridge is now back at port in Baltimore, Maryland. The Dolly was freed from the wreckage of the Francis Scott Key Bridge earlier this week. It'll be undergoing repairs for weeks to come.
After 55 days stuck in the Patapsco River, the wreckage of the bridge weighing down the cargo ship Dolly has been removed, and the ship has finally been hauled away, a key step forward in the effort to reopen the port of Baltimore. The 106,000-ton vessel crashed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge during the early hours of March 26th, causing the bridge to collapse and crippling a vital transportation route.
Thousands of workers who relied on this port, who rely on this bridge, saw their place of work close.
6 construction workers on the bridge were killed when the Dolly crashed into it. No one on board the Dolly was hurt, but the 21-person crew from India and Sri Lanka have been stuck on the vessel for the past 8 weeks. Their visas have expired, and the FBI confiscated their phones as part of their ongoing investigation, according to a labor representative. They've since received new ones. Multiple agencies are investigating what caused the ship to lose power before slamming into the bridge. The National Transportation Safety Board releasing a preliminary report last week.
When the ship was about 0.6 miles from the bridge, 1 high voltage and 1 low voltage breaker that were powering most of the vessel's equipment and lighting unexpectedly tripped.
It's unclear when the ship's crew will be able to return home. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
On this date in world history. To quote American founding father Benjamin Franklin, You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? Okay, that's totally fake news. But what's not is what Franklin proposed on this date in 1785, bifocals, which would help people see distant objects in the top half and read with the bottom half. Cold War history was made on May 23, 1949. The Federal Republic of Germany, which became known as West Germany, was established by the US, the UK, and France. East Germany was the part of the country occupied by the Soviet Union. 4 decades would pass before Germany was reunited into one country. And this was the date in 1951 when China formally annexed or took over Tibet after sending troops there the year before. Despite a Tibetan independence movement that lasted for decades, Tibet remains an autonomous region of China.
Word of knowledge. Which of these Dutch artists was born the most recently? Rembrandt, Jan Vermeer, Vincent van Gogh, M.C. Escher. The only one of these artists whose works was completed in the 20th century was M.C. Escher, who was born in 1898.
Today, Escher's revered as one of the most famous graphic artists who ever lived, having produced works popular with mathematicians, the public, and even some psychologists. But though his works reflect and defy concepts in engineering, Encyclopedia Britannica reports that Escher didn't do well in math, at least as a student, and for much of his lifetime, his work wasn't appreciated as much as it is today.
The artwork of M.C. Escher. It's a collision of art, math, physics, and design. The Dutch graphic designer is known for paradoxical works that push the boundaries of space. Like this piece, titled Relativity. The stairways go in multiple contradictory directions, and yet people are walking up and down all of them. And somehow, they all connect. Escher used to say that artists considered him a mathematician, and mathematicians thought he was an artist, so sometimes he felt stuck between the two worlds.
This left him a little dissatisfied, but actually everyone, mathematicians and artists alike, always appreciated his work and his ability to make these obscure and paradoxical things visible.
Although he was not mathematically trained, he used many of the concepts in his works, like tessellations. The repeating geometric figures were a fixture in Escher's works. They could continue on forever without overlapping or leaving empty spaces. His largest print is more than 22 feet long. In this clever piece, reptiles from a tessellation crawl off the page. Escher drew inspiration from the natural world and Italian architecture. In his own time, his art wasn't really all that popular, but eventually the science and art worlds began to study and write about his work. The hippie movement of the 1960s generated more interest, and his artistic concepts were being soon recreated on album covers and clothing.
A lot of American schools are going on summer break, but we still have quite a few in session. One is Medical Lake Middle School. Mr. Barnhart's class is keeping the learning burning in the city of Medical Lake, Washington, the Evergreen State. In the land of 10,000 lakes, we've got LaPorte High School with us today from the city of LaPorte, Minnesota. Big hello to Mr. Shinebarger's class. Let's go Wildcats! And from the city of Waukee, Iowa, we welcome Mr. Sink's class. Great to have y'all watching from Waukee South Middle School. For dogs too fly to fly coach, canines that can't stand kennels or are too big for a carrier bag, there's now something called Bark Air. Up to 10 people and 10 dogs can climb aboard a luxury flight, domestic or international, and it's filled with special pillows and blankets, catered food, a doggy drink menu, a spa treatment. The idea is to make travel more tolerable for both dogs and owners, but the destinations at the moment are extremely limited, and the price of a one-way ticket from New York to California is $6,000, which is about 20 times the price of an economy seat. But for those who find flying particularly rough, those who have no taste for early departures or late arrivals, those with 4 legs for every flight that'd rather lay down than lay over and want to embark without getting dogged at the gate or guaranteeing a flight that's duty-free, this could be just the ticket to the lap dog of luxury. I'm Carl Azuz from The World from A to Z, and it would be awesome if you joined us again Friday.